What's up everyone? It's your finance virtuoso buddy here hitting you with another deep dive into one of the true titans of the corporate world. Today's episode is all about a company that has been an absolute behemoth when it comes to cookies, crackers and so much more, the one and only Nabisco. This is the Finance Virtuoso channel, where we talk about all things finance. For your daily dose of valuable information on money, business, investments, and savings, be sure to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell right now. Now I know what some of you might be thinking, we get it, Oreos are delicious. But how riveting can the story of a snack food company really be? Oh, you'd be surprised, my friends. Nabisco's saga is one of pioneering branding, bold acquisitions, crazy mergers and demergers, and being at the very epicenter of some of the biggest corporate deals in U.S. history. This is a company whose impact extends far beyond the cookie aisle. So grab a glass of milk and maybe an actual Oreo or 20, and let's dive into the fascinating rise of the National Biscuit Company, better known as Nabisco. It all began back in the late 1800s when the baking industry was rapidly consolidating into huge corporate trusts, kinda like the Standard Oil monopoly situation. On one side, you had a lawyer named William Moore combining a bunch of big bakeries in the Northeast into the New York Biscuit Company. And on the other, another lawyer, Adolphus Green, was doing the same thing, joining 40 different companies across 13 states to form the American Biscuit and Manufacturing Company. In a major power move in 1898, these two joined forces, creating the National Biscuit Company, or as we know it, the iconic Nabisco brand. From the jump, Green was an absolute marketing genius. He emphasized branding, standardizing production, undercutting pricing, ushering in totally new concepts for the bakery game back then. The era of just selling crackers out of a nasty barrel was so last century. Instead, Green gave us the Unita biscuit complete with its own logo, kid mascot, wax paper sealed packaging to stay fresh and crispy, and tons of advertising spent to get that brand etched into the public consciousness. Of course, Nabisco wouldn't be Nabisco without the all-time GOAT snack food product, the Oreo cookie. Introduced in 1912, America's favorite sandwich cookie started an absolute dynasty that remains the best-selling cookie brand over a century later. Moral of the story? When you combine visionary marketing with an addictive cream-filled treat, you've got a recipe for unprecedented success. Thanks, Nabisco. Now the Oreo is just the tip of the iceberg and it comes to historic Nabisco brands that have been permanently imprinted in all our childhoods. We're talking Chips Ahoy, Ritz crackers, premium saltines, chicken in a biscuit crackers. The list goes on and on. But one thing a lot of people don't realize is just how expansive Nabisco's portfolio extended beyond just the typical cookie and cracker offerings. For example, did you know they used to be the company behind Milk-Bone dog treats for over 75 years? Crazy, right? Or how about the cereals Cream of Wheat and Shredded Wheat? Yep, those were Nabisco joints at various points too. They even owned major candy brands like Lifesavers and Baby Ruth at one time as part of an infamous string of mergers and acquisitions through the 80s and 90s. We'll get to that insanity in a minute. The point is, while so many of their iconic products became household staples burned into our brains through childhood, Nabisco demonstrated a relentless ability to diversify their offerings and reach into totally unrelated snacking categories. A true testament to their branding power. Speaking of that corporate ambition, let's talk about Nabisco's wild merger years. Because oh boy, it's a doozy and exemplifies just how crazy the consolidation craze of the 80s and 90s could get in corporate America. It all started in 1985 when Nabisco joined forces with tobacco giant R.J. Reynolds in one of the largest non-oil company mergers ever at the time, creating the mega-conglomerate RJR Nabisco. Yes, a tobacco company literally owned major snack food brands like Oreos for a while. Well, just a few years later, in what's considered one of the corporate hallmark events of the entire 20th century, RJR Nabisco was bought out in an astronomical $25 billion leveraged buyout orchestrated by the legendary private equity owners. $25 billion. It marked an era of debt-fueled mega deals. As you can imagine, all that leveraged debt was pretty challenging to manage for RJR Nabisco's new owners. The demergers and divestments started happening immediately to raise funds and shed the albatross of obligations. Nabisco was bounced around between various parents like Philip Morris, who had also bought another snack titan, Kraft Foods, around the same time. By the early 2000s, both Nabisco and Kraft found themselves under the same corporate umbrella yet again as part of the pared-down Kraft Foods company. Finally, in 2012, after a Byzantine series of splits and spin-offs, Nabisco emerged as part of its own separate company once again, now called Mondelez International. And as of today, that's where beloved brands like Oreos, Ritz, premium saltines, Triscuits, and more continue to reside. From dominating the baking aisle and pioneering the earliest days of brand marketing, to getting swept up in the merger mania insanity of the 80s and 90s, before finally being reborn yet again. I gotta say, mad respect to Nabisco for its absolute perseverance through all those dizzying corporate machinations. And that perseverance and brand power is exactly why this remains a titan worth studying today, over a century after its inception. Sure, the deregulated airline, telecom and banking sectors tend to get all the glory when discussing legendary corporate consolidation stories. But I'd argue Nabisco's tale of trust-busting bakery mergers, prolific branding expertise, and ability to survive being absorbed as a mere strand of a massive corporate conglomerate, only to re-emerge as its own focused snacking powerhouse, that's an epic that deserves way more recognition. You know you're doing something right when you survive all that chaos and still have Oreos stocked on grocery shelves nationwide. So there you have it, the story of business legend Nabisco and how this one cookie and cracker company represents so much more than meets the eye. It's about steadfast brand leadership through the decades, daring mergers and acquisitions that captured corporate America's imagination, and above all else, the unwavering ability to deliver quality products that can withstand any whirlwind of industry disruption or boardroom turmoil. What a journey it's been. One that hopefully gives you a little more appreciation for those iconic snack brands and the subversive corporate saga behind how they came to be. Next time you're munching on an Oreo, remember, you're enjoying the fruits of over a century's worth of snacking domination and unprecedented business wizardry. Alright, those are my 2 cents on the surprisingly compelling history of the National Biscuit Company. Any other fascinating chapters or products I missed? Any other iconic companies whose stories you'd want me to spotlight next? Let me know by dropping a comment below. While you're at it, do me a favor and smash that like button. Appreciate you tuning in as always, and I'll catch you next time.